Hello, Paula Daniele from Crochet Hooks You here, and today I'll be showing you how to make this Got Spirit hat. And this free pattern can be printed from redheart.com through the link below in the description box. This is a beginner level pattern and it was designed by Edie Eckman. The finished circumference is 21 inches or 53 centimeters. What you'll need is one skein of Red Heart Team Spirit, and I've got the colour green gold, and there's also another colour in the picture here, and that's this colour here, and you could use the orange black. Now with this pattern you'll also be needing a 5.5mm hook, or also known as a US I9 hook. You'll need your yarn needle and a pair of craft scissors. So to get started, we're going to make a slip knot, and we're just going to leave around that much on the end there. And then using our 5.5mm hook, just pop that through and pull tight from the working end of the yarn. And now we're going to start off by making 4 chain stitches. So we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do a slip stitch into this first chain stitch, and just into that loop there. Bring that tail over the top and hold it between your fingers. And with the working end of the yarn, wrap it over the hook and draw it through those 2 loops on the hook. And there we've formed a ring that we can work into. And we'll be working in rounds, so we'll keep going round and around until it gets bigger and bigger. So for round 1, we'll start off by making a chain 3. So that's 3 chain stitches. 1, 2, and just make this last 3rd chain stitch a little bit bigger, because we need to join into that towards the end of this round. So just make that one a little bit bigger so it's easier to get into. And now we'll be working stitches into this ring, and we're going to be working over this tail here. So if you hold your tail along like that, and now we're going to do 11 double crochet stitches into the ring, and this chain 3 here counts as 1 double crochet. So when we've done our 11 double crochet stitches, we'll actually have 12, because this counts as 1 stitch. So let's start our 11 double crochets. So this is the first one, and remember just to get that tail over the hook like that, so that you're actually working it in as you go, so you don't have to sew it in later. So there's our first double crochet, and that still counts as 1. So actually we have 2 double crochets now, but we'll just be doing 11 of these. So there's 1, making sure that tail is over the hook. And there's 2 double crochets plus our chain 3. There's 3 double crochets. Four. 5, and you'll need to move it back around the ring to fit the other ones in. There's 6. 7. 8. 9, moving that back around. 10. 11. So now we've got 11 double crochets into the ring, plus we've got our chain 3 at the start there, which counts as 1 double crochet. So we actually have now 12 double crochets, and we're going to join in to the top of this chain 3 here. Now, as you can see, you can count. There was the first chain you made, the second chain, and there's the third one. So that's the one we want to go into, and we want to go in under both loops of that third chain. And we made it a little looser just so it was easier for us to get in like that. And you should have 1 loop underneath there. Then get your working end of the yarn, and we're going to pull it through those 2 loops of that chain stitch, and then that last loop that's sitting on the hook still. And then you can just pull it around into shape. And that's the end of round 1. And because we've worked over the tail end, you can just give that a little pull, and that will tighten your centre. And you can pull it tighter, even tighter later if you like, or you see it closes up the centre nicely. Okay, so for round 2 we'll start off with a chain 3. So 1, 2, And remembering just to leave this last chain stitch just a little bit bigger, because we'll be joining into that one later. Now we're going to do a double crochet into this same stitch where we joined. That one there, which is straight underneath the chain that we just made, the chain 3. Double crochet into that same stitch there. And now we're going to do 2 double crochet into each double crochet stitch around. So into this next one here, do our first double crochet stitch, and into the same stitch do a second double crochet into that same stitch. And we'll be doing exactly the same for the next and all following stitches. So 2 double crochet stitches into each stitch around. There's the first one into that stitch. Here's our second one. So continue on along right around, so 2 double crochet stitches into each of these stitches right around to the end, and you should have 24 stitches. So one way you can do it is as you go along, just count. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you make your 2 double crochet stitches into each and counting right around until you've got 24 stitches, and then I'll see you at the end to make the join. Okay, so I'm up towards the end of round 2 and I've done 24 double crochet stitches, and that count includes that chain 3 because that counts as 1 stitch. Now you can see where I've done my last 2 double crochet stitches here, and I'm just going to show you that when you come towards the end of a round you'll always see this join from the previous round, and that's not a stitch that you stitch into, it's always just the join. So now we need to join into the top of this chain 3 here. So you can see where you've done your first chain stitch, second chain stitch, and that's the third chain stitch that we want to join into. So just diving up under both of those top loops of that chain stitch, and then we're going to do a slip stitch. So bringing your yarn around under those 2 loops and then under that last loop on the hook to finish the join, and that's the end of round 2. Now for round 3 we'll start off with a chain 3, so 3 chain stitches. So there's 1, 2, and just making this one just a little bit bigger so we can join into it easy later. Now we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into the next double crochet. So the next double crochet stitch we can see sitting right here, and we want to put 2 double crochet stitches into the top of that stitch there. So there's our first double crochet, and now we're going to do our second one into that same stitch. And when you're putting 2 or more stitches into one stitch, it means you're increasing, you're making it bigger. Okay, so we've got our 2 double crochet stitches in there. Now we're going to do a double crochet in the next double crochet stitch here. So just 1 double crochet into this stitch here. And now we'll do 2 double crochet into the next double crochet. So you find the next one here and put 2 double crochet stitches into this stitch. So there's our first one, and into the same stitch a second one. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, and that's the sequence we'll be using right around. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet into the next stitch. So there we've done 2, so now into this next one, just 1 double crochet. One double crochet into that stitch, moving along to the next stitch, and we're going to do 2 double crochet into this one. So here's the first double crochet into the same stitch, our second double crochet. We're increasing and making the crown of the beanie bigger. So continue right around with that sequence. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, and continue that sequence right around until you get here. Remember, that's the join, so not into that one. And if you're counting as you go around, you should have 36 double crochet stitches at the end, and I'll see you there and we'll join. So now I'm up towards the end of round 3, and I've done my 36 stitches, and as you can see, the other colour from this skein has come in. And now we're ready to join. So remembering that that is a join from the previous round and does not need to be crocheted into. So now we just need to count our chain 3 here. So 1, 2, 3, and that third chain we want to dive in under, because that's where we're going to join. Just under those 2 top loops. And then we're going to bring the yarn through those 2 loops of that chain stitch and then through that last loop on the hook, and that's the end of round 3. So now we'll be starting on round 4 with a chain 3. So we're making 3 chain stitches. So 1, 2, and just make this 3rd chain stitch a little bit bigger. And then we're going to do a double crochet in the next double crochet. So there we can see we've joined into that one there, and this is the next double crochet here. So do a double crochet into that stitch, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch. So this will be our first double crochet. So there's our first double crochet, and then we'll do a second one into that same stitch there. And now we'll be starting a sequence, and the sequence is a double crochet into each of the next 2 double crochet stitches. So here's the first one. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, move on to the next stitch, 1 double crochet into that stitch, and then the rest of the sequence is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch here. So here's our first one. There's 1 double crochet into that stitch, and then make a second one into that same stitch. So I'll show you that sequence again, because this is the one you'll repeat right around. So it's double crochet into the next stitch, so just 1 double crochet there, moving on to the next stitch, 1 double crochet into that stitch, moving on to the next stitch here, and we'll do 2 double crochet stitches into this stitch here. So now I'm making the first double crochet stitch. Here's 1 into the same stitch, make a second one. So that's what you'll need to repeat. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochet into the next stitch, and repeat that sequence right around to the end. And at the end of this round you'll have 48 double crochet stitches, and then I'll show you how to join. Okay, so now I'm up to the end of round 4 and I've got my 48 stitches and I've counted them. It's very important that you do count them so that you don't get mistakes later on. Now as you can see, my last 2 were made in the last stitch here. There's our join from the previous round, and here we've got our chain 3 that we made at the start of this round. So we count our 1, 2, 3, so there's our 3rd chain stitch, and we're going to join in under both of those loops. Just pop them over like that with the one loop on the other side there, and we're going to make a slip stitch to join. So you just bring it through those 2 loops of that chain stitch and then through the loop on the hook. And this is what our work is looking like now. So it's gradually getting bigger and bigger. So now we're up to round 5 and we'll start off with a chain 3. So 1, 2, and just remembering to make that 3rd chain just a little bit bigger so we can get into make a join later on. So now we'll do a double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches along. So here's our next stitch here. So we make a double crochet into that stitch. So there's one. Onto the next stitch. And 1 double crochet. Now we've got 2 onto the next double crochet, making 1 double crochet stitch. So now we've done 3, and now we'll do our 4th into the next double crochet. And then we're going to do 2 double crochet stitches into this next stitch here. So here's our first double crochet stitch, and now we'll make our 2nd double crochet into the same stitch. And now we'll be starting a sequence. So we'll double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches across. So starting with the first one, into the next stitch here, do 1 double crochet, and then move on to the next stitch and make 1 double crochet, moving on to the next stitch and make 1 double crochet, moving on to the next stitch, make 1 double crochet, and then moving on to the next stitch and make 1 double crochet. So that was the first part of our sequence, was to make 5 of those double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the next part of the sequence is 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch. So here's our first one. And into that same stitch, a second double crochet stitch. So that is the sequence that you'll be using right around. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, and then 2 double crochet stitches into the next stitch, repeating that right around, and then I'll see you there. So now I'm at the end of round 5, and I've done my last 2 double crochet stitches into the last stitch there. We can see the join from the previous round, and now we want to join into the top of this chain 3, so you can see the 1, 2, 3, that's the one we want to join into. So just popping your hook up under both loops of that chain there, and we're going to make a slip stitch. So now if we have a look at the pattern, we're up to round 6, and the pattern says rounds 6 to 14. We'll be doing the same thing for each of those rounds, which is chain 3 and then 1 double crochet into each of the double crochet stitches around, and then at the end we'll do a slip stitch into the first double crochet, which is the chain 3, to join. Now when you're doing the same on each round, what you can do is just write on the pattern here the numbers 6 to 14, and as you do each round you can just cross it off with your pen just to keep a track of where you are. So to start round 6, you'll start off with your chain 3, so 3 chain stitches, 1, 2, and making that last chain stitch a little bit bigger. And then you'll be doing 1 double crochet into each of these stitches right around. So there you can see that's the first one you'll start in. So make 1 double crochet into that next stitch. And that's all you'll be doing right around. So move on to the next stitch and make 1 double crochet. Move on to the next stitch, make 1 double crochet. So you'll repeat that right around until you get to the end here, and your last stitch will be made into this stitch here. And don't make a stitch into the join there, otherwise you'll end up with a very huge hat. It'll keep growing, and you don't want that because you're making the sides, you want it to go down straight. So make sure you don't put your last stitch into that join there. So make your last stitch there, and I'll see you there. Okay, so I've just made my last stitch on round 6, so I'm up towards the end of round 6. There you can see the join that you don't crochet into. Now you count your chain 3, and at the top there you just want to pop your hook in under that 3rd chain stitch. And we're going to join the round by doing a slip stitch there. And at the end of this round you'll have 56 stitches. So now you can look at your pattern here, and where we've written our numbers you can cross off round 6 because we've just done that. And so what you'll do now is you'll start on round 7 and all the following rounds up to 14, and they are exactly the same as what we did on round 6. And at the end of each of those rounds you'll have still the same amount of stitches, so 56 double crochet stitches, because you won't be increasing or decreasing any stitches, you're just keeping the same amount of stitches. So repeat round 6 for all of these following rounds, and then I'll see you at the end of round 14. Now I've just finished the end of round 14, and this is what the back of the hat looks like. And I'll just turn it over. And this is what the top of the hat looks like. And this is what it looks like at the front. So now we're going to fasten off. So bring it back around here to the back. And we're just going to leave enough of a tail to weave in with our yarn needle. So just cut that there. And then you can move your yarn over there. And to fasten off, we're just going to wrap the yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop and right through, and then tighten that up. And that's finished. So now you'll need to thread your yarn through your yarn needle, and on the inside of the hat we're going to weave this end up through here. And where you can see your chain 3s, that's where we're just going to take it up through those. And just hold your thumb there so that it doesn't pull on any of the stitches as you bring the thread through. And just try not to pop the yarn out the other side here either. You don't want it showing there. And you can take it up as far as you like. And then what I do is I just turn the hat around like that, and you're just going to skip that loop there, that one there, and just dive into the next one, and then bring it back down as far as you like. And then you can trim that off, and that's weaved in. Now turn the hat inside out, because we're going to weave in one more end here. So thread this through your needle, and with this one, if you pull it up, you can see that we want to head this way around. We're just going to go around that circle, the center circle. And this will tighten it even more. And as you can see, sometimes you might have to give the needle a little wiggle just to get it through. And see, that's really tightened it up now. And you can keep going around. And give it a little wiggle. And then turn it around, and we're going to head back around here. So skip a loop here and pop your needle in, back around. You can just do that as many times as you like. And then you trim that off. And then turn your hat back in the right way. And there's the back. And there's the front. And this is what the Got Spirit hat looks like when it's worn on the head.